Hey, 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 Mom Nation. Welcome back to another episode with Katie and Miranda of Untying the Knot. Hey, Miranda.
Hello, happy
How?
Halloween.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing awesome. I am absolutely in love. Let's just real quick before we hop into the topic for today, let's talk about your workshops because I'm in love with them. I think they're so necessary and they so need to be in this space, and I want to get the word out.
Well, I have lately pivoted. I've been shifting because I'm a teacher by nature, by trade, and I want to be in front of people. I want to work with people. But I'm realizing there's a lot of women who are not ready for that, can't fit into their schedule, are not committed to that. So I'm scaling to the online model in hopes of going back to in person,
Mhm.
so that more people feel welcome, more comfortable. And if we're all women, but especially in the divorce space, there's a lot going on. We're thinking about a lot of things. We're scared of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And to be seen, to be out in front of people, it could be a lot. So what I am working have created, I'm so excited to announce, is that I've created a space online, a community called the Healing Women's Collective. And what
Love
it
it.
is it is a space for women who are ready to build, grow, strengthen um, in and from relationships. The most important relationship being the one with yourself. So, like,
Yeah.
yes, divorce is a big part of that. Yes, we'll talk about pre, during, post divorce and relationship, but where does it all start? How do we get into
Mhm.
these relationships? How do we work through them? How do we recover from them? How do we find the next relationship that's not a complete mirror of the one that we just went through?
Right, right.
Let's be aware of that. So in this space that I'm going to have, it's going to be modules. It's going to be reflections. It's going to be exercises. I'll have education experts. I'll have Q&As. I'll have our same monthly mindful mamas, and I'm starting a monthly free. So the basic is just free. To have monthly calls and to welcome in the group is free. You're not alone. Will be one that I'll do monthly, which is a beginning guide to navigating divorce, and then reclaiming you, which will be building and recovering front, during, and after divorce. And so I'll do those every single month and just have the space and let it be whatever it needs to be. I'll give a little bit of information and a little bit of, kind of disclaimers and things to think about, but then just open it up to, like, what do we need? What is the collective? Because as I talk about, like, it's been 28 years since my divorces. So
Right.
does the woman change? No. Does trauma change? No. But do the things that we deal with and think about and today's problems change pretty quickly? Yeah. So I want to
Yeah.
be able to have a space where, like, here's what I know, and then here's what are you dealing with, and let's meet in the middle. So that right now, that's really become my focus, and then bringing that emotional awareness piece into all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I didn't plan this, but I feel like that's a great segue into today's topic.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. So today we're going to talk about, Katie's going to, I'm going to put my host hat on today. And
She's
today we're
taking
going
the
to,
wheel.
I'm taking the wheel. And today we're going to talk about um, the relationship with ourselves.
Mm,
And we're going to talk about how, yes, divorce may be your lens right now. Yes, recovering may be your lens. Yes, you might be in kind of that, this is what they put me through, or I deserve better than this space. And all of that may be true and valid. But also, what are we doing in here?
hmm
What do we need to think about? What do we need to know? What do we need to be aware of for our own healing? And really go, instead of going from all the external, from the outside in, let's go from the inside out and figure it out. Because these are just circumstances, these are things that we're going through right now. But
Yeah.
how we feel, how we process, how we heal is all about what's going on in here. And especially with divorce, I know it so well. You're so caught up in what's happening, this drama today and this email and this thing that happened. And it's part
Right.
of the journey, it's part of the process, but we get distracted and we lose ourselves in that. And then we get through it and we're like, oh, I'm so glad I'm done with that. Let me move on with life. And we move on with life, but we still don't ever deal with what was going on in here.
Here.
And so that's
Yeah.
what I wanted to focus on today.
I love that. And with that, I'm going to ask you a question, and hopefully, this is an okay time to do so.
Sure.
But how does your self view impact your ability to cope with the change and the uncertainty that you find yourself in when you are going through this process?
Yeah. So there's change and then there's uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
So there's two different things there. One is a level of safety, right? Like what I thought I knew is no longer what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And so I've been disrupted. And so if you've ever been disrupted in the past, or you've ever felt that lack of rootedness, that lack of safety in a relationship, and you know me, I'm always going to go back to your childhood. If
Right.
something happened that uprooted you or changed in your childhood, or you didn't feel that level of safety, you're going to go right back to that.
Yeah.
So that's that change. And then uncertainty is just a lot of times um, a lack of acceptance, being able to accept like um, that what we're going through is okay, that we're
Mm-hmm.
going to be okay, that we're not broken, that we're not falling apart, that we're not being punished. That was a big one for me, that this isn't
Mm-hmm.
our fault. This is just what's happening right now. And a lot of times we have deep rooted shame about ourselves, our story. You know, shame is an emotion, but it comes and it goes. It can. If
Mm-hmm.
you, especially if you have a deep rooted sense of identity, you may
Mm-hmm.
experience shame like you experience other emotions. But so often we've experienced shame from the very beginning, and it's become a core belief.
Yeah.
It's not about just what we've done. It's about who we are.
Yeah.
We're not good enough. We're not smart enough. We're not deserving. Everything's our fault. We don't deserve love. I'll never find peace. I'll never find happiness. That's all a story that we tell ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that story is kind of underlying into that lack of the change and the lack of being okay with that, and the uncertainty and the lack of being okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, something when I was going through my divorce that I had to learn to be okay with, and this was really, really hard for me, is that I didn't know what the outcome was going to
Mm,
be. I didn't know what the end result was going to be. I didn't know what my life was going to look like after the fact. And I'm one of those that I like to know the beginning, the
mm,
middle, and the end, before I'm jumping into something. I like to know what's on the other side for me. And that really helps in terms of comfort. But
mm-hmm.
I didn't have comfort during that time for sure, but I had to learn to be okay with that. First of all, do you agree with being okay with that? And secondly, if you do you have any tips on becoming okay with that? Because that was a struggle for me.
Yeah, and I think that there's like the science and trauma behind the control
Yeah.
aspect. And then there's like where I'm gonna go, which is like woo-woo spiritual, like everything's okay all the time.
Hmm.
Everything is working out for my highest good. But it's really hard. I remember being 22 and my husband leaving me and having a baby on my hip and no clue what I'm going to do. And there's no way I was like, it's okay. This is for my highest good. That
Right.
that
Yeah, it
wasn't
wasn't
where I
there.
was at.
Right.
Exactly. So I think there's a combination of the two. So one is like I need to be in control of the situation.
Hmm.
And so often in life, we are, and that's the woo woo aspect of life, right? We are not in control of
Right.
life. We're never in control. We don't know, even if we have the best partner and a fantastic relationship and a thriving business, we never know what tomorrow is going to bring.
Right.
So there's a bigger aspect of being able to go with the flow, the ebbs and flows of life and the changes of life, and being okay with that. And guess what? If you were a kid and you didn't feel that as a child and things happened that disrupted you or you couldn't make sense of,
Hmm.
it's not very easy to do that. So I think one of the things that we can do is just sit with like, what are the things that I'm resistant to?
Mm.
Why do I feel so much resistance in this? Of course, it's especially if it's not your choice. It's shattering, it's sad, it's grief. There's all these other things, but on the as well, next to that, parallel to that, is like, why is the resistance? What am I not able to deal with? And I
Hmm.
think a lot of that is a refusal to sit with certain emotions. So,
Oh, don't I know that?
so you're going to have the ones that run the show, right? Grief,
Yeah.
sadness, anger. You're going
Anger.
to have those. Those are going to run the show. You know those. But what else is underneath that you don't want to, or you're not ready to, or you don't realize is sitting there? And I
Yeah.
think the more we can do that, the more, and that's not like oh, I'm done. That's like a lifelong process.
Right.
But the further away we are from that concept, if you weren't taught that, you weren't modeled that, you don't understand what that looks like in theory, that's a very complex thing to grasp and to understand. It might take a lot of personal alone time. It might take a lot of therapy. It might take a lot of whatever your practice is, whatever your thing is, whatever your healing is. It might take some time to get to that stuff and to sit with it. But that's where the answer lies. Is the control comes from resistance to feel certain things.
Yeah, love that. Thank you for that answer. It's scary to dig into emotions, especially if it's something that you aren't familiar with or you don't have a lot of experience doing or you haven't done. Um, do you have any suggestions on how somebody can begin that if they are a couple of weeks, months ago, I don't even remember, time flies so fast. We did a show on Name It to Tame It, naming your emotions, being able to identify those. Now, if somebody is in that space and they're just unable to identify what they're truly feeling, do you have any suggestions on how to organize that?
Learn. Be open to learning. Look at yourself as, if you need to, imagine yourself as your child or as your best friend or someone else, and they're going through this. What would you want them to do? Would you want them to beat themselves up? Would you want them to live in the story and replay it over and over again and be the victim or be the, would you want to do that? Or would you want them to go, okay, this sucks, but we want to be able to grow and heal from this experience. We don't just want to get over it. We want to sit with it. We want to deal with it. So what can we do? Well, we can learn. Are you open to learning? Maybe that resistance and that control says, I can't do this. So we step backwards a little bit and say, okay, maybe it feels overwhelming and heavy. What can we do? What can we do? Can we learn what emotions are? Does that feel safe? Can we do that? Okay. Once we do that, can we start to ask ourselves what those emotions look like in our own body? Does that feel safe? Can we do that? Because all of that is really safety, right? We're scared. We're afraid to do those things. So we just get consumed in the feeling of the emotions and not the processing of the emotions.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So let me ask you, because you said a little bit ago that you knew anger, you knew the emotion. So what came up for you when you got a divorce? What emotions do you remember, like not only feeling, but being really aware of and being able to deal with pretty easily?
Well, that's the problem. Is I was not. It was a while ago, and I was a very different person back then. And so my go-to was the habit that I was in basically from childhood. And that was just move forward, just move beyond, just kind of bury it sort of thing. So when I think back to and try and like reconnect with those feelings again, because again, it was quite some time ago. When I think back, what emotion would you assign to a feeling of betrayal? Because I think betrayal was huge for me, but I don't know what emotion that is. Is that hurt? Is that sadness?
It could be multiple. I mean, that's the crazy thing about emotions is it's whatever it is for you. And P.S. your emotions are always valid. The story or the perception that you tile onto it may not be completely accurate from an outsider's perspective, or it may not be exactly what happened, but your emotions about something are always valid. So however you feel is how you feel. And that's complex emotions, right? It's never just, oh, I'm sad about this or I'm upset about this. You could be a multitude of things, and you could be joyful at the same time as you can have both extremes. So I guess really it's like what were you in your body when you were betrayed? What were you feeling?
I think probably the closest emotion in my mind now looking back would probably be anger. And then if I had to break that down further, it would certainly be sadness. And during that time, though, and I don't know if this is a topic that you wanted to get into or was on your agenda for today, but during that time, I was not beyond my negative self-talk phase.
Mm.
So I was negative self-talking myself the whole way through that. And I think that kept me from actually experiencing the excitement, because two things can be true at the same time, right? You can have two emotions at the same time. Because I did have a bit of excitement actually being on my own for the first time ever, because I pretty much left, mom's house and
Yeah.
went right to married. You,
Yep.
you kind of experienced a uh,
Mm-hmm.
similar process too. And so the excitement of, hey, I'm on my own. I didn't have any kids, so that was easier, but hey, it's just me. I'm here to make all the decisions. I'm here for all of this, future chapter. I think I robbed myself of having that true excitement because of the negative self-talk that was happening at that time. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I want to get into there, but what I think the first thing is like that's allowing yourself to be who you are, what
Yeah.
you feel, what you experience, which may go back to your childhood of like, I'm not allowed or I'm not supposed to feel this certain way about this, or I'm
Yeah.
not supposed to express it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because your betrayal and your thought, I mean, I'm not saying you weren't betrayed, but your thought about that and your anger about that is what is on the surface and makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. But when we peel that back and you get into it, it's really about your feelings about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of things can be true there. One, could you be angry at him? Of course, you should be. But could you be angry at yourself too for
Yeah.
not honoring yourself or not speaking up or not? Sure. Could you
Mm-hmm.
also be sad? Yeah. Could you also be frustrated with, there's so many things that you can experience, and it's not just about the situation or the person. It's about what we feel to ourselves. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why going back to like the community I created about the relationship with yourself, so many times in divorce, and I see it, I'm so compassionate because I've been there, but I see it all over Facebook all day long. He did this. He
Yeah.
said this. This is what happened. And those circumstances might be 100% true,
Yeah.
but we're not dealing with like, how do I feel about that? What's
Right.
my part in that?
Yeah.
There is no 100%, 0% divorce. There's always some level of like, I showed up in this way. I allowed
Mm-hmm.
this to continue. I added to this. And the same way we don't want to accept blame or responsibility for things, we don't want to feel what comes along with it.
Well, and I want to piggyback on that too, because I see similar posts all day, every day. And a lot of times, what's at the end of those posts after everything he did is, how would you feel?
Mm,
Asking the crowd of strangers
mm.
how they would feel. Now, I understand people need to work through things, and it's often helpful to have a response from another, to kind of help you do that. But is that a way that we are ignoring our own feelings about a situation and adopting that of another?
Well, let me ask you, when you read that, how do you feel? Or how would you feel? What do you take that as?
For me, at this point now, I never have enough information.
Mm.
I don't have enough information in any post to be able to have an opinion about what might be going on with them.
No, but I mean like from the writer's perspective, what do you think they're looking for or trying to accomplish by asking that question?
Support. Somebody to say, yeah, me too. Somebody to say, yeah, you're not alone.
So there'd be lots of things. They're looking for support. They're looking for validation. They're looking for like, yeah, you should feel that way. They're
Yeah.
looking for permission.
Mm-hmm.
They're going back to what you said about like, oh, maybe there's a part of them that always knew that this was going to happen, or a part of them that wanted this to happen, because even though I didn't want my husband to cheat on me and leave me and go through court for years, I didn't want to be married to him either. So like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
whew, this was like my way to get out of this and it not be my fault. And I don't have to deal
Yeah.
with any of my stuff. I get a pass from this, but I got to show that I'm like, but also this is not cool, man. Shouldn't have done this. So like, there's such a complexity there of women, I guess, and maybe I need to do a better job when I see those posts. Is like, what do you feel? You're
Mm-hmm.
asking, how would you feel? But what do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
And is that okay? Can you allow yours? Because clearly during the marriage, whether it was your own conditioning or his conditioning or both, you were not free to express how you really felt. You weren't
Mm-hmm.
safe enough, and in a whether it's always is that way or evolved into that way, you're not speaking how you feel. So you got a lot of suppressed stuff there. If you are looking for someone else to tell me this is okay to feel this way,
Yeah.
um,
When
but
I
when I
was going through it, sorry to interrupt you,
no
but when
no
I was going through it, girl, I wasn't healthy enough to understand how I felt nor
no
communicate that.
no, and you were young.
Yeah.
So you've maybe got one of two things working against you. You're really young and you're just like I was 22, you were 20, like you just don't know. You don't understand. And if you didn't know it in childhood, then you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you're 40, 50, but you've just got the weight of so many other people's feelings and expectations and things on top of you that you don't even know where to go. So
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter your age, it could play into it,
Right.
it's interesting how like for you and I would say the first time I would, you know what, I'm examples of both of those. The first time I got a divorce, I was like, I don't even know what anger is. Like I don't even understand these concepts. And I'd say the second time I got divorced, I was like, well, I know all of these emotions, but I don't know what's mine. I don't know what's his. I don't know what's mine. I don't know what's my kids. Like I have to sit and be
Mm-hmm.
able to sort all of this out and like untangle myself from this ball of stuff. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Untangle is a very great way of putting it because as I think back, and now again, it's been a while, and it's not like I, sit around enjoying myself thinking about those times. No, I don't do it for fun. But I felt very tangled at that
Mm,
time. And again, and I didn't have the kid aspect to
mm,
throw in there. So I didn't
mm.
have that factor where I cannot even imagine you ladies that go through it with kids and having that, protective mama bear feeling about you, it, to be able to like figure out what's yours and what's theirs and what is yours that you're pushing on them and you shouldn't be, and like that's got to be a whole ball game all in and of itself.
It's a whole thing, and that's why I speak about a lot. Like, read the parenting books. Do like if that makes you feel better, fine. But that's not what it's about. It's about
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with you. If you're okay and you're doing the things, they will see that and they'll model it and they'll be okay. But we do this
Mm-hmm.
push where we're like, we got to take care of, and we did it in our relationships or our marriages. We got to take care of them. We
Right.
got to make sure they're okay. And then we use that as a convenient distraction from everything that's going on in here. And
Yeah.
so not to say that you're lucky or anything that you didn't have kids, but it's like it's less of a something else that gets in the way of you being able to
Yeah.
like, well, what do I think? What do I feel? Like, how do like you had a clear, like a good opportunity to be like, okay, now I'm on my own. How do I feel? What do I want? When a lot of the moms are just like, I don't have time to think about that. I just got to jump into
Right.
like making sure they're okay. So that's, I talk a lot about like not focusing on your children right now. Yes,
Mm.
take care of them, feed them, but emotionally, do not put the focus on them. Put the focus on yourself. We always talk about put the oxygen mask on first, work on
Right.
yourself, model what it looks like to sit with our emotions, model what it looks like to ask questions and to get curious and to dive and to find safety in your own body. And I promise you, they will pick up on it, they will see
Mm-hmm.
it, and they will feel it energetically. But if your focus goes from saving this marriage or focusing on my husband and my kids, and then you just shift it, your circumstances change, but you shift that energy to them and
Yeah.
them being okay, it's not going to be healthy for them either.
Totally agree with that because from my perspective, like we'll just say mom because we're, talking about ladies here. Mom is my safe place. Mom is my home. If
Mm,
mom is out of sorts, I'm out of sorts. I don't even know
yeah.
why, but it's because my safe place is. So
Mm-hmm.
that makes a lot of sense to me for mom to be grounded, and then mom can, you know, handle baby. Can we talk a bit about, and maybe this doesn't matter, but I have a feeling it does. Can we talk a bit about the role of self-care in this whole process
Mm.
and why or why not that might be important?
Yeah. And I'm from the, I don't know. I just heard something the other day about like the 90s commercials of like Calgon and a bubble bath. And like, that's what I need to relax. And like, it never really resonated with me. It didn't make sense. So I kind of, that's how society shapes you. I had
Right.
this idea that like, that was self-care and I just need a moment in the bathtub alone and the kids are on the other end knocking on the door. For me, maybe that is part of your self-care too. It's not part of mine.
Right.
Self-care can look like timeouts, massages, time alone. Like those are
Exercise.
exercise, taking care of yourself. But self-care is really anything that improves the overall well-being of yourself. So for me, I know meditation is incredibly important to me. I
Mm-hmm.
have to do it every day, even if it's for 5 minutes. It's how I shut down. I know sitting outside in the sunshine is vitally important to me, and I have to do
Mm-hmm.
it every single day. But I also know that discipline is important for me because of
Mm-hmm.
my chaotic past and how my nervous system works. I need a level of scheduling for me is self-care. Making
Mm-hmm.
sure I know what I have to do the next day ahead of time and I'm prepared is self-care.
Great
um,
point.
like there's so many different versions of self-care. Food, am I eating the right things? Like you said, exercise. So it's not just like I focus on the spiritual a lot, but in my life this year, my journey has been after doing 75 hard this summer and learning being in a relationship and learning those things. Now my self-care shifted to like, whoa, um, how do you show up for yourself physically now that you feel more safe in your emotional body?
Yeah.
What else can we work on now? Let's work on the food that we're putting into it. Let's work on maybe more time with the kids, maybe more meaningful moments with the kids. And so self-care looks like I'm okay. So now I can have more deeper conversations with my kids. And that actually helps my well-being because I know that they're okay.
Yeah.
Things like that are out of the realm of like, go get a massage
Right.
and take time for you. And temporarily, if that's what you need, if you need a Netflix day, then take the Netflix day. But
Mm-hmm.
don't be there with like, oh, I should be doing this or distracted. Be there
Right.
as this is
Be
my
there.
distraction. I love this show. Nobody Wants This came out season 2. Great. I binged it all last Wednesday. I loved every minute of it. And that was it. I
Yeah.
haven't turned on the TV since. For
Yeah.
that day, that was self-care for me.
Mm-hmm. That is such a huge, giant point that I want to repeat it for those in the back. Because I think that we can sabotage that. So we have carved out this time that we're going to do whatever it is, whether that means scheduling to make my life easier,
Yeah.
whether that is the tub with Calgon, whether that is getting your nails done, whether that is your Netflix day. And then we destroy it almost with, geez, I really shouldn't be doing this. I could be doing XYZ. Let me just do the dishes really quick before I jump back into the next season or the next episode or whatever it is. Let me go then I'm throwing a load of laundry in, right? And then I'm like, oh crap, I haven't called my mom in a couple of weeks. Maybe I should do that. And then I'm stuffing it all with things that are not what I had intended for that time.
Mm-mm.
And I think
Mm-mm.
we can get lost in that really easy.
Yeah. Or we don't enjoy it, or we allow shame to come up and tell us what we should be doing, or something that my kids roll their eyes every time I say it, but I say it all the time. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if like, even if like I said, you're taking a distractive day, are you bed rotting? Are you really enjoying it? Are you really luxuriating in this, even if it's for an hour? Are
Yeah.
you really appreciating this moment and allowing it to reset yourself? Or is your body still doing this while you're relaxing?
Right.
Like
Right.
that is the difference. And that all comes back to like the nervous system and safety in your body and why you're doing something. If you're
Mm-hmm.
doing it just to say you did it, if you're doing it just to like stress yourself out, it's not productive. It's not helpful.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I feel like don't, and this is just my advice, and you can tell me what you think about it, but I feel like don't beat yourself up if that happens, because if you're in that mode, and it's a habit for you for those thoughts to come in, like let them come in,
Yes.
but acknowledge it. Just understand
Yes.
that that's what's happening. Okay, thank you, thoughts. Appreciate you, brain, for trying to keep me on track and trying to keep me efficient and using my time wisely, right? But here's what I'm going to do instead. And then keep it. What I find helps me out a lot in those times is I just keep like a notebook, or I mean, shoot, our phones are always in our hands, right?
Always.
Open
Yep.
up I open up like a little reminder, and those things that come in that I'm like, oh my gosh, I better go do that, or I'll forget. I just write them down. And then that way it eliminates that worry that I'm going to forget that or that's going to slip through the cracks, because I'm like, okay, I've written it down for myself and I'll address that later. Right now, I really have to address what I carved this time out for.
Well, and that's, Erin and I did Unstuck last week and we talked about
Yeah.
that piece of it. And there's systems and processes, people and not feelers. And then there's feelers and not or organized or chaotic. I tend to fall over here. So the people that are really regimented and they have the systems and they just got to go, go, go. And like, I don't relate to that. It doesn't do anything for me. It just taxes me. Some people need that. So if you're one of those people that is like high functioning, on schedule, like that's why I need to be around people like you. And like my partner, when we did 75 hard, and he was like, yeah, this is easy. You just da 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 da. And I was like, what? Like, so we need people like that in our lives, because we have, that is self-care. That is taking care of ourselves, is having systems and processes in place to eliminate confusion, to make things easier. However, if you don't feel like this is a safe thing to do, I don't feel like I don't deserve this, or I can't follow through on this, or I'm just going to screw it up anyways, then you will fall apart, whatever it is you plan to do. Maybe you're like me and you're like a super great organizer. You're a super great planner. You love to get started on projects and you have it all out. And then the follow through is where you fall off every single time. So I have learned, for me, that's about emotion. It's always about your emotions. But for me, for someone like me, it's more about allowing all of that stuff to be okay and having the systems and process. I guess what I'm trying to say is focus my energy on this, learning the systems and processes and putting them in place, and then loving myself enough to go, I set these in place for a reason and I deserve to follow through on them because it's going to benefit me. Versus someone like you who's more like, yeah, I already know what to do. I got it. But I got to allow myself to let the emotions come in and experience them and not push through them because I'm so busy. Does that balance like resonate?
That's why we get along so well.
I think so.
Why we need each other.
Yeah, you really do. And acceptance of that. I have had to accept so much this year. I'm not that person. No matter how much I can improve and I can become more that person. I can remove the obstacles that are keeping me in the way from being that, but I'm not. That's why I don't know if you ever heard of human design. I'm obsessed with learning like how I function, the type of person I am, and my personality, and what works best for me and what doesn't work as well for me. And not just blame myself for being like, well, I'm too emotional, so I can never do anything right. Like, really figure yourself out.
Right. And I like your idea of giving grace to that of who you are. That's important, right? If we're constantly fighting against who we are, and we're not working with ourselves, basically.
Well, and that's what Erin and I talked about at Unstuck is like, there's this version that I clearly don't want to be. I'm tired of that version. I don't like the way that shows up. And then there's this version of like, I wish I could do this. I want to be more like that. I want to go there. And there's two points to that. One, acceptance of this. Don't shut this girl out. Say, all right, I hear you. I got you. I see what, like, I love and accept that you were doing what the best you could. And I want you to come along on this journey with me. And then I also see you over there, who is the further version of me, who's so excited for me and is rooting for me. But I can't deal with either one if I'm not loving and accepting of what is happening today and right now and who I am. And instead of living in the regret of this, or the shame of this. Like, could we just live here and be aware and then take tiny steps in
Yeah.
where we want to go, you know?
Yeah. Tiny steps is so much less overwhelming than trying to bite off more than you can chew. And I think that understanding who you are to enough of a point where you understand how much you can bite off is important too, because we're all different, right? And some of
Yeah.
us might be able to process a little bit more than others. We need to really honor that process about ourselves. I really feel like that's important.
Well, and can we go back to I talked so much about like who I am and how I work, but let's go back to like you being that scheduled person and that go person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what have
Mm-hmm.
you learned about letting the emotions in and really sitting with some of those things and accepting those things and bringing that with you in the journey of how you're built?
So I have learned one very important thing recently, and that's kind of what, as you were asking me, what really popped into my head to share was not reacting to absolutely everything.
Mm.
Everything does not require an immediate reaction. Maybe anything doesn't require immediate reaction unless it's an emergency, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'll just use an example, this has nothing to do with the marriage, but it can be applied. A couple of weeks ago, I had an incident where I was unreasonably attacked
Mm.
by a colleague personally for some very strange things. Without getting into that, when I first learned of it, I was really upset and I wanted to immediately react because I'm a doer, right? Because I am going to just react, get this over with, get it done, say my piece, say what I want to say, and move forward to the next thing. I didn't do that. And I actually sat with the emotion so that I could name it to tame it, right? And I actually figured out that I was profoundly sad because
Mm.
of this relationship that this person and I, that I thought we had,
Mm-hmm.
that we clearly didn't. It was clearly different on her end than it was on mine. And I was so proud of myself for actually stopping and
Mm.
feeling, as much as it was painful, feeling that, because I was able to work through it on my own, process that on my own, learn a little bit more about who I am,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I didn't even react at all. And had I reacted the way I initially was going to, because I'm a doer, right? And I just wanted to get through it and through to the next thing, I would probably still be dealing with that situation.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a lot of good insight. First, I want to say awesome. And celebrate the growth. Celebrate every freaking time you do something 1% different than you did it before. Celebrate the growth, ladies, because that is so important. What I want to ask you is, well, first of all, I want to commend you for making it about yourself and not the other
Thank you.
person, because that's
Thank you.
where the magic is. That's where the growth is. And even in a divorce where you're blindsided and caught off guard, you can still take a space to go, whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on? Is this really about me or is this about you? Like, you really
Right.
can do that even in the shock. So kudos for that. I want to know how you knew you were sad.
I really had to sit with it, Miranda, because I have a hard time with betrayal. And
Mm.
there was a piece of that in here, in this situation. So I had to trace the trigger, and I traced it back, and I was completely honest with myself. This is all happening internally. This is not a
Yeah.
conversation that I had, right? Um, and I traced it back to, I feel betrayed. I feel sad about the loss of this relationship.
Mm.
I feel sad that I personally didn't see this coming. Usually I'm pretty good about that kind of stuff. Um, I just felt an incredible sense of loss.
Mm.
And it almost like a death, really.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
mourning this relationship that I thought I had, that I clearly didn't, but there was a time when I felt like I did, right?
Mm.
So it felt very real to me during that time. And then when it changed, it's as if I lost that person entirely.
And is that how you felt when you had a divorce?
No,
No?
that was a whole different thing.
So what do you think? Is there a time that you could remember or go back to that felt that you felt that same feeling?
That same sadness, sure. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm sure many times, throughout life, but did I take the time to actually sit in it
Mm,
without reacting? Because the reaction is almost like a distraction, right?
100%.
Because it just caused a subsequent action from the other person, or more things came up, right,
Yeah.
because of the way that I was behaving, um, and in my reaction to the situation. So with this, it didn't prolong that, and
Mm,
that was probably, I mean, it's the maybe first time I can remember. Perhaps it's happened before. I mean, I'm 46 years old, so there's a lot of life there. But I feel like that was probably the first real time
that's
that
so awesome.
it was.
That's
Now I'm
so
like,
awesome.
bring it. Like,
What I could do life. I'm
right,
fine. Everything
right.
that, and that's what it comes back to. I'm fine. No matter what happens, I'm fine.
Yep.
Because that is always your past. Any reaction you have, and sometimes well, always your reactions are always valid, but it's so often unprocessed emotion from another situation that we just
Mm-hmm.
automatically attach to it. And you can
100%.
have it, you can have your righteous feelings about something, and you can sort through. But just like what happened with you is a perfect example. Your feelings were valid, but that didn't have to dictate how you showed up or what you said. You just
Mm-hmm.
needed to validate for yourself and all of those versions of yourself, especially the little girl maybe that first felt that, who never got to have the experience that you had at 46.
Mm-hmm.
That like, hey, we're feeling this. We're
Mm-hmm.
good. And we didn't have the ability to say back then, oh, we're good. It's okay.
Right.
But we do now. And there's so much power in that. There's so much healing in that. And I hope maybe you told yourself, maybe you didn't. It's okay. Like, it is okay that you reacted that way, that you felt that way. It's okay that you did before. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the most important part of it, is like, it's okay. We just never
Mm-hmm.
thought it was okay, maybe.
Yeah. Self-acceptance has been really huge for me in this last decade or so
I
of
love it.
life. And I don't love getting older for the obvious reasons, but I also love getting older because
Yeah.
it's incredible how much wisdom you gain
Yeah.
after all the life experience that you go through, and after making those mistakes. Now, I am not, this is so valid for me. Like, this is such a point for me. Like, I'm not ashamed about those mistakes anymore, because
Good.
those mistakes got me here. And
Yep.
I love my life. Like, my life is banging compared to what it was in the
Yeah.
first couple of decades. I
Yeah.
can tell you that. But I wouldn't be here had I not gone through every little step of the way that I went through. I wouldn't be this person.
Well,
I wouldn't be
it's,
talking to you. you
yeah.
know
And it's beautiful.
yeah.
Like to really sit with that and go, this is beautiful. Life is just a combination of experiences that happen to me, that I am not in control of what happens, but I'm always in control of what's happening in here.
Yeah,
And
that's huge.
sitting with that, and letting that happen is the key to unlocking all ultimate freedom of
Yep.
life. Like, I can be okay no matter what happens. And we're always just afraid that we're not going to be okay.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
You just prove to yourself, I'm okay. It, like, everything, the lens in which you see the world completely changes. But it's not only like that self acceptance you talked about, but it's also dropping the shame of that, I should have figured this out sooner, or
Yeah.
I could have done this 20 years ago, or whatever. You weren't ready at the time. You hadn't
Right.
gotten to this point. So, like, being able to let all of that go, accept and let go, is really, really amazing and beautiful. I love that story.
It's giant. Thank you. And I appreciate being in this position now with a child as young as I have. I mean, I have a sixth grader, And so now I'm like, this is some very valuable self information, that I can teach to him rather than have him watch me in that repetitive cycle where it was honestly self-destructive. So this gives me an awesome opportunity to teach my son something that I didn't know at his age.
Well, not only is it self-destructive or is it not helpful, but it's like it keeps us in the past and it keeps us in victim mode.
Yeah.
So victim mode, which I've done for so many years, victim mode looks like, I can't believe I did this to my kids. I can't believe I put them through this. I can't believe that they lived in 2 homes. I can't believe that it took me till 40 some to figure it out. And I can't, and some people can live there forever.
Yeah.
I know people who are older who are still like, I did this and they can't get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can shift your perspective like you have and I have, and you can say, man, look at like what a chance I have. Look at like what my position is in life to be able to affect all of my children still. Not only did they get to learn and see what it was like, but now they get to see the other side and they get to see what's possible and they get to see healing and growth and they get to make different choices. And how cool that is. And also now, how many women am I going to help? How many women, like I made it so hard on myself unnecessarily, but I don't regret it because had I not gone through all this and learned, I wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't have started this community. I wouldn't be affecting all of these women that come to me all the time and say, I never thought about it that way. Like I wouldn't have had that. And there's like, I don't know, I got for so mmany years, even though I was on the right path, I was still like, oh, but I shouldn't have done this. Oh, but I'm so guilty about putting my kids through this. Oh, like, that's like you said, that doesn't, I can't remember your phrasing, but that's just working against us.
It does. We're truly working against ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
This episode has a lot of value and boy, did it pack a punch. And I don't know if you noticed, but we're already like 47 minutes in.
Are we really? Okay.
So we've got to wrap this episode up, but I feel like there's more teeth to this. And I feel like this is something that we should probably bring back in future episodes. So I thank you for bringing this huge topic to the table. It's honestly everything. It's where everything starts, right? Is within. And so I appreciate you for shedding light to that because a lot of times it's just not talked about enough.
No, it's not. And you know what? It's like something I'm still working through and I'm still going through. So there's like no judgment. There's no like right or wrong. There's just learning and growing. And that's all it comes back to. And if you are in the middle of a divorce, you can start to shift how you think about things and how you process them. And if you're done with your divorce, you can start to look at like how you've dealt with it and how you feel about it and make more peace with it. Like it doesn't matter where you're at. You can always make those shifts that make things just easier for yourself.
Totally agree. I honestly couldn't agree more. All right, my friend. Well, until next time, and ladies out there, thank you so much for sticking with us. If you want to check out any of our previous episodes, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at Mom Nation USA. That's our handle. Scroll down just a little ways. You will see the bright blue playlist, which is Untying the Knot. We also have it podcast style. So if you prefer to listen versus watch, then on your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for Mom Nation Talk Radio. There you will find us. Like, download, click the notification bell, all the things. You will never miss a beat. We will see you next time, Miranda. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or disconnected from yourself? Miranda Ray offers one-on-one private sessions designed to help you reconnect with yourself. Gain tools for emotional healing, build confidence, and step into your power with compassionate guidance every step of the way. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity. You deserve to feel good again. Let Miranda help you get there. Take the first step toward a brighter, more balanced you. Reach out to Miranda now.